Welcome back, coin collectors. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the Australia 50-cent coin. Known for its bold design and impressive size, this coin is a standout piece from the Royal Australian Mint. Stay tuned to uncover its rare varieties and hidden stories that could make your collection even more valuable. All right, now hold on tight, because what looks like an old, rusty piece of pocket change might just leave you absolutely speechless. The coin we're about to uncover is one that most people would walk right past. But if you've got sharp eyes and a little patience, you just might find a small fortune hiding beneath the rust. I'm talking about the 1981 Australian 50-cent coin. Yes, that large, silver-looking, 12-sided coin that often gets overlooked. But this one's different. At first glance, it may seem like just another worn, circulated coin from decades ago. It's got that weathered metal look, a bit of orange rust creeping in. You might even think it's worthless. But here's where things get exciting. Because underneath that aged exterior lies a story of value, of rarity, and of pure collector gold. The 1981 50-cent coin features the unmistakable dodecagon shape, 12 flat sides that instantly separate it from your typical round coins. It's thick, solid, and feels heavy in the hand. On the front, of course, sits Queen Elizabeth II, wearing the royal diadem, staring calmly into the distance. This portrait, designed by Arnold Machine, was one of the most widely used monarch designs, appearing across multiple denominations. Now flip it over, and you're greeted with a bold Australian coat of arms, the shield featuring the 6 state badges, flanked by a kangaroo and emu, all beneath a 7-pointed star. The design hasn't changed much over the years, but in 1981, there was something else happening, something that only sharp-eyed collectors would discover decades later. You see, 1981 was a high mintage year. Millions of these coins were struck. But here's the twist. Some were minted in Canada, not Australia, because the Royal Australian Mint needed help keeping up with demand. And when coins are produced across 2 countries with different dies, presses, and quality controls, the chances for minting errors explode. And oh, did they. Some 1981 50-cent coins have been found with die cracks, cuds, rotated dies, and even weak strikes. Others feature misaligned obverses or double rims, giving them that unmistakable error profile that collectors love. These mistakes, invisible to most people, are pure gold to numismatists. And here's the kicker. Some of these error coins, even in circulated and rusty condition, have sold for $20,000, $30,000, even as much as $60,000 or more. Now imagine one with a confirmed double strike, or an off-center error combined with a rotated die. Add in authentication from a grading service, and now we're talking about the kind of coin that could cross the $75,000 mark, even in rough condition. Yes, rusty or not. You might think a rusted coin isn't worth the effort. But seasoned collectors know better. A rare error doesn't disappear because of age. In fact, the rust and wear can sometimes prove the coin's journey, its age, its originality, its survival. That story? That's worth money. Big money. So here's what you need to remember. The 1981 Australian 50-cent coin may be common, but the errors are not. And because most people don't even know to check them, your odds of discovering one in a forgotten coin jar or old foreign currency pile are better than you think. If it's rusty, don't toss it. Examine it closely. Look for strange shifts, cracks, or doubling in the design. And if you find one, you could be staring at a coin worth upwards of $80,000. Now, brace yourself for this one, because the coin we're about to talk about might be sitting right in someone's drawer, tossed aside like it's nothing. But in reality, this could be one of the most shockingly valuable 50-cent pieces ever to leave Australian soil. It's the 2001 Australia 50-cent coin, and what makes it so special is not just where or when it was minted, but what was secretly hiding among its designs. At first glance, it looks just like any other 50-cent coin from down under, that iconic 12-sided edge, smooth silver-colored finish, and thick build that makes it stand out from any American coin. On one side, you've got the familiar image of Queen Elizabeth II, the monarch who's appeared on more currencies than anyone else in history. But here, her portrait is slightly modernized. Crafted by Ian Rank Broadley, this version features sharper lines, a stronger jaw, and a more lifelike representation that signaled a new era for Commonwealth coinage. But now, flip it over. That's where things get very interesting. In 2001, Australia released not one, but multiple commemorative reverse designs to mark the country's centenary of federation. That's right, 100 years since Australia officially became a united federation. To celebrate, the Royal Australian Mint released 20 different versions of the 50-cent coin, each one representing a different state or territory with a completely unique coat of arms. And that's where this story begins. Because buried within that sea of commemoratives, collectors started noticing something unusual. Some of the coins had misprints, some had missing features, and others were struck using the wrong die altogether. We're talking mule errors, where the reverse and obverse sides don't match in design or alignment. These kinds of minting errors are among the rarest, and when they do occur, their values skyrocket. In fact, one such mule error, known as the double obverse coin, where the Queen's portrait appeared on both sides, made headlines. Another famous mistake? A coin with the wrong state emblem, believed to have come from a die mix-up during the minting frenzy. These kinds of coins have sold for $40,000, $60,000, and even more at high-end auctions. Now remember, your coin might not be a mule. But even a standard 2001 50-cent piece, in excellent condition, especially if it's one of the lower mintage commemorative varieties, can fetch hundreds or thousands of dollars. But here's where things really hit. If your coin happens to be one of the rare die error versions, or has a misaligned strike, or even a rotated die, you could be sitting on a piece worth $70,000 or more. Yes, that's right. A coin that most people would never look at twice could be worth as much as a brand new luxury SUV. Even without any visible damage, these errors often hide in plain sight. A small shift in the design, a missing detail, a subtle rotation, all things that could turn an everyday coin into a six-figure jackpot. And because the 2001 50-cent series involved so many designs and mints, the chances for mistakes were higher than almost any other year. It was a printing frenzy, and in that frenzy, value was accidentally minted into a lucky few coins. The question is, did one end up in your hands? So, if you've got a 2001 Australian 50-cent coin lying around, don't ignore it. Turn it over. Examine every line, every symbol. Check for double rims, rotated sides, missing details, anything unusual. Because in a world where coins are mass-produced and overlooked, the ones with flaws are the ones collectors pay fortunes for. Let me ask you something. Have you ever held a coin in your hand and had no idea that it could be worth tens of thousands of dollars? That it could be sitting in your pocket change, your travel keepsakes, or buried at the bottom of a jar somewhere? Because the coin we're about to explore, the 2014 Australia 50-cent coin, might just be one of the most surprising hidden treasures ever minted. It may not look extraordinary at first. After all, to the untrained eye, it seems like a standard Australian 50-cent coin. The 12-sided shape, sharp edges, and that cool silvery shine. Yes, it's familiar. It features the elegant profile of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse, just as expected. But what makes this coin different? What makes this coin explode in value lies in the tiny details, the subtle differences that most people miss. And the collectors? They are desperately hunting for these differences. You see, 2014 was a year of steady production for the Royal Australian Mint. Nothing too flashy, no national anniversary, no major changes. But that's exactly what makes this coin so dangerous to ignore. Because 2014 also saw a spike in minting errors, the kind of errors that the average person would toss aside, but a trained eye would value at $50,000, $70,000, even over $100,000. Let's talk about one of the most shocking errors tied to this exact year, the clipped planche. That's when a coin is accidentally struck on a blank that's missing a small piece, creating a crescent-shaped cut that looks like someone took a bite out of the coin. Not only are these rare, they're also extremely collectible. One 2014 Australian 50 cent with a clipped planche and crisp detail sold for over $30,000 at auction. Then there's the off-center strike, where the image is shifted and part of the design gets cut off at the rim. These are stunning to see, and when found in near mint condition, they can command five-figure prices. But the real crown jewel from 2014, that's the double die obverse. This is when the coin's design is accidentally doubled during minting, especially around the queen's face or the lettering. It's not just rare, it's nearly impossible to spot unless you know what you're looking for. And when one of these turns up, the price can shoot straight past $70,000. Even coins that appear normal, like the one you might be holding now, can skyrocket in value if they're part of a low mintage batch, or if they have just the right combination of crisp strike, shiny luster, and a rare die variety. Collectors love the 2014 issue because it falls into this sweet spot, modern enough to still be found in circulation, but old enough for the finest examples to already be disappearing into private collections. And here's where it gets really exciting. Your coin, yes, the one in good condition, might be one of the very few that escaped circulation without damage. A clean edge, solid relief, smooth fields, and sharp lettering. That's a recipe for massive value, especially if it has a subtle die rotation, a micro doubling, or any kind of planche flaw. So, before you dismiss it as just another shiny coin from a faraway land, remember this: it could be worth more than your first car, your last vacation, or even your monthly mortgage. The market is hungry, and demand for rare modern errors is rising every single day. The 2014 Australian 50-cent coin might not scream wealth at first glance, but it whispers it in details most people miss. Take a closer look, because you might just be staring at a $75,000 coin without even knowing it.